The internal rate of return IRR is a financial metric used to evaluate the profitability of an investment or project. It calculates the rate at which the net present value or NPV of a project's cash flows is equal to zero. In other words, it is the discount rate at which the project's expected future cash flows equals its initial investment. A higher IRR value indicates a more profitable project. IRR is calculated by using a trial and error approach, where a range of discount rates is tested until the NPV of a project's cash flows equals zero. The discount rate that results in an NPV of zero is the IRR of the project. This trial and error method involves four basic steps. Let's discuss them. Step 1. You need to find NPV of the cash flows at 2 steps down of your choice. For instance, if the required rate of return mentioned in the question is 18%, your first step should involve calculating NPV at 16% and 20%. As part of step 2, if NPV found in step 1 is positive, find another NPV at some higher rate. You may choose a bigger step like taking a scale that has a difference of 6%. So assuming the required rate of return is 18%, calculate the first step at 6 steps higher, that is 24%. As part of step 3, keep on repeating the step 2 criteria unless and until you come across one positive and one negative NPV. Step 4. After completing step 3 successfully, find the IRR through interpolation formula mentioned in front of you on the screen. An example question to calculate the IRR in exam may look something like this. A company is considering investing in a new project that requires an initial investment of $140,000. The project is expected to generate cash flows of $40,000 in year 1, $50,000 in year 2, $60,000 in year 3, and $70,000 in year 4. Calculate IRR if the RRR is 17%. RRR in some cases is also mentioned as the cost of capital or discount rate, whereas RRR is termed as the required rate of return. In this example, we first determine the NPVs at lower rate and higher rate than the RRR mentioned in the question. As per step 1, we took 15% and 19% respectively. As per the requirement of step 3, we got one positive NPV and one negative NPV. If we would have gotten both positive values for higher and lower rates, we would have taken a higher scale with a gap of say 6% as per the step 2 requirement. In such case, our lower rate would have been 11% and the higher rate of 23%. The NPV is the net present value calculated by subtracting the initial cost of investment, also referred to as the initial cash outflow in some exam questions, from the cumulative PVs. So at 15%, NPV stands at $12,000 and some odd dollars, and at 19%, the NPV stands at negative $566.55, which confirms the requirement of step 3. The trial and error method refers to using the interpolation formula shared on this screen, and after computing, the IRR can be ascertained at 18.82%. You will be interpreting it in a way that since IRR is higher than the required rate of return, you will be accepting the project based on the IRR calculations. In exam, you may not get a question that requires you to calculate IRR using a larger scale or following the step 2 mechanics. As PMI realizes, the time will be short, but it doesn't hurt to know a bit more, right? Just remember, if you do your calculations correctly, you will be able to arrive at the correct IRR value just accommodate it to plus minus few percentages or round it off to look for the same value among the 4 options mentioned as part of the question. In worst case scenario, choose the option that is closest to your IRR calculated amount. See you in the next lecture.